Hi, I'm Bonnie.
And I'm Margie.
Hi to all of you out there watching and listening.
What I'd like to talk about today, if you don't mind, is kind of a follow up to the video we did with Speed.
That would be great. And for those of you that are watching and tuning into this video before watching that one, it's the one entitled An Intimate Conversation.
Or an intimate, vulnerable conversation.
Or something like that. So
yeah. It's the second one we did, the first one after our introduction. Anyway, I was looking at it.
Yes.
And when I first watched it, because I know who I am and I know what my intentions were, I was very happy with it. But after about the sixth time of watching it, yes, I like watching myself, I tried looking at it like I didn't know me and I didn't know the situation. And I got a very different take on it.
Huh.
And I thought, wow, I need to kind of follow up with what was going on with me, plus what has happened since.
Great.
Once you watch it, you'll see it was a very uncomfortable place I was with kind of this issue between Speed and I.
And Speed is one of my best friends that Margie met, and you ended up with a crush on him.
And some inappropriate behavior at a workshop, and then not inviting him to things because I just felt really uncomfortable with him. And it was a clearing of the ear, which it did, and it was great. But in watching it, I felt like I was trying to explain my behavior, which I really didn't intend to do, but got in an uncomfortable place, and then we look for reasons for why we do things. And I realized I would have left that whole thing out had I watched it first.
Yes.
Kind of deal. But what I'd like to really talk about is what has happened for me since that video.
Great.
I realized that all the attraction that I had has kind of disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say if I wasn't connecting with him in a really intimate space, it wouldn't be there. I believe it would. But it would only be there when that connection was happening, not in my mind the rest of the time.
Yeah.
It was like freedom. And I realized why intimate conversations with people that we have an upset or an uncomfortability or just feel like there's something sitting between, why these conversations are so important.
Difficult and yet worth it.
Oh, so worth it. My whole outlook on whether we ever speak again or not really doesn't matter. That doesn't mean I wouldn't love speaking with him or going to lunch with him or whatever. But if it never happened, that doesn't matter either.
Your word freedom really resonates, that you're free to be in this moment. And boy, this thing of getting our minds hooked on someone. Mm-hmm. And I know when I've been in relationships, I spend more time and more energy when I'm not with them. What am I going to say? How am I going to deal with this? You know, what's going on? How then I'm with them. And so that freedom really resonates for me, is really powerful.
And I realized that anytime there's something sitting between us being me and anyone else, or you and anyone else, us, something sitting between us, just talking about it allows for, I don't have to think about it anymore. It doesn't have a hold on me anymore.
Yes.
It's just been amazing. So I would encourage people that it seems difficult to do. And I remember the conversation, my face would be red and my heart would be fluttering and I'd be thinking, how can you be saying these things? But ultimately, I am so happy we had that conversation.
Cool. And I get it. There's a lightness and a space that's created. Maybe not in that moment or in the beginning of the conversation, because for me, that's when the heart's beating and I'm worried.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm doing this, and you know, how am I being received? How's the other person taking it? Am I making them uncomfortable? Interestingly enough, and here's a question for you. You and I have had difficult conversations. It's one of the qualities that we've been gifting each other with for quite some time, which led to our being here doing these conversations. It's like, wow, we're really learning how to communicate more intimately, more vulnerably, not just, hey, I'm going through something and you help me through it.
Mm-hmm.
We've had moments between us of clearing air and resolving things. Is it easier if it's female to female? Is it easier with a guy when there's not a sexual tension, sexual attraction? I'm thinking so.
I believe because of our whole skewed outlook, our society's skewed outlook, our upbringing, our religions, our culture, I do believe where a sexual attraction is involved, it becomes much harder because I know for myself I'm not as clean with my sexuality and how I feel about it and how I feel about it.
It being
Upbringing comes into it, history comes into it. It feels like impulses and desires aren't clean. They can't just be stated, and that's that.
And I'm as we were just laying out the sequence of friends, where there's a trust. I mean, at this point, the depth that we've gone with each other. If there's something I want to bring up to share with you, I don't even have much angst about it at all. It's just a mental note. Oh, cool. Let's talk about that. Because of the trust. Maybe not in the beginning. I mean, the beginning was a lot of tension. But, so the most difficult is once we are sexual with somebody and our hearts are involved, when there's an issue, that's when we end up walking on eggshells and not even being conscious, not even let ourselves be aware of what we're thinking and feeling because we believe so much is at risk.
Right. I think it comes into, will he still like me?
And love me, will he still be here? You know, what's the consequences of this? And for me, if that's where I find myself spending more than a few moments or a few times, the relationship's already over anyway, because it's no longer the real, transparent, intimate connectedness that I'm looking for. And once I'm walking on eggshells, and it's interesting, because with you, the walking on eggshells decreased. And with you talking to Speed, my guess is now you could be around him and talk about just about anything.
Yes, that's part of the freedom.
Up till now, and I haven't been in an intimate relationship for quite some time, it's been that the longer the intimate sexual relationship goes on, the more difficult it becomes. It's like the scales tip.
And the sexual relationship doesn't mean there has to be any sex between the people, because Speed and I didn't have sex, but it sat there like we had.
Right, and what I'm wondering is, yes, there's the sexual tension there. For me, yes, there are the challenges of what do I do? I don't, when I'm in that situation, what do I say? And I've had that happen even within the last few years where it's like I'm attracted to someone and I don't know how they're going to receive it. I don't really know who they are, especially for the depth that I'm so used to going with my friends, Speed included. You know, just because there's a sexual tension doesn't mean that's a good place for me to be going because the person isn't able and or willing to go deeper. And I've learned to be patient and let the friendship, see where conversations go, even while I'm aware of that little sexual tingle, before I jump into wondering how I could take it further or deeper. And I'm learning too, which is real new for me, instead of being the active one and taking the reins and making something happen, to just chilling and trusting that if the connection is to go further, whether it's to involve sex or not, that will happen more naturally. I don't have to force it.
And something that came up for me while you were talking is I was thinking about a couple of other places where sexual attraction has kind of gotten in the way of a friendship with someone. And one time was a friend of mine's husband, and there was just that chemical attraction. Neither one of us were looking for anything, but it started to be sitting between us. So one day when I was with him alone, I said, I just need to speak of this because it just seems like something's sitting between us. I'm attracted to you, I feel your attraction to me, and nothing is going to happen because I'm friends with your wife. But I just wanted to clear it away. And it became cleared away for me. I didn't have any discomfort with him after that. The unfortunate thing that happened was he told his wife. And she didn't receive it well and kind of became not my friend anymore. And didn't realize, I don't think she realized the reason I had the conversation with him was to clear it out of the way so we didn't have to discuss it, act on it, or worry about it.
Right. Yeah, that's just so interesting. The whole thing about the difficulty of having conversations where we, in the moment, are vulnerable and it's awkward, and being willing to sit together with whoever and be present. It takes willingness on both people's parts, and I don't care who starts. I don't care whether you come to me or I come to you, you being not just you, Margie, but whoever the other person might be. I'm very grateful for you. I'm very grateful for those of other people in my world where I have that. And to not judge somebody who's not ready is a real important, it's kind of a different flavor of talking to Speed. If somebody's not ready or willing or able, that doesn't mean I have to cross them off my list. It doesn't mean that I have to push them to go there because I need to be right. They should go there in my time. Mm-hmm. That's to me part of this maturing that I experience me doing, and you as well, and the people I'm closest with, is this allowing us to show up in the moment and let this moment take care of us and us take care of this moment, not having to plan or plot it or be worried about what happens after.
Another situation, I have another friend whose husband I have a sexual attraction to, and I went to her and told her, I said, I love flirting with your husband, but I don't want you to be worried. You're my friend. I would never act on it. It's just a fun flirtation. If it bothers you, I will stop. But if it doesn't, we have fun doing it, but I want you to know that neither one of us would act on it.
How did she respond?
She said, go for it. As long as you're not doing anything, I don't care. But what I've also noticed is some days she's insecure with herself.
Yeah.
And I've become sensitive enough to not flirt with her husband when she's having a bad day.
Nice. And that's the whole thing of being present,
Mm-hmm.
not just putting myself and my needs first,
Right.
being in the moment, really tuning in. It doesn't mean that I deny myself. If something's really going on and it's consuming me, that's very different from, hey, I'd like to have this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's not a burning issue, to really attend to and take care of the other, knowing timing in some cases, I don't want to say, I've heard myself saying is everything. It may not be everything, the sensitivity.
I think it's the sensitivity of what's going on. I think that creates the proper timing, for lack of a better expression. I think it's the sensitivity of really knowing what's going on with everyone involved.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing with me and with everybody else. Is there anything else specific to the change in you because of having that conversation with Speed, or...
There's one other change I noticed in
Okay.
me. When I called Speed the other day and he didn't call me back, and you said, well, call him again or text him, what came for me is, no, I don't want to chase anybody. If they don't want to call me back, oh well, not interested.
Right.
Where I used to chase people like crazy, and now I really, but I think it's coming to a place of valuing myself enough to know that if you're calling me or being interested in me isn't as important to you as it is to me, I'm really not interested anymore.
Yes, I've
That's amazing to me.
I've noticed that with myself as well.